In this video, I'm going to talk about the genitive forms of adjectives and pronouns, both possessive and personal pronouns. We'll start with adjectives, and the first thing you'll notice is just like with nouns, masculine and neuter adjectives will have the exact same ending in the genitive case, and feminine does its own thing. And you will see that this happens, except for in the nominative case, this happens pretty much everywhere. The other thing you'll notice is that there are hard and soft endings for adjectives, but just one quick word about soft endings for adjectives. There are not nearly as many adjectives with soft endings as there are nouns with soft endings, and in fact for now you guys only know one, but I just want you to be aware that they're out there so that you're not thrown for a loop when you see them. So you see the endings are ovo, spelled ogo, but pronounced ovo, or oi, and then its variant yevo or ye for soft, or if it's a spelling rule that prevents you from writing o after those 5 consonants that you might need to go back and review if you don't remember the 5-letter spelling rule. Now we're going to turn our attention to the pronouns, but before we do that, I want to do a quick overview in English of possessive versus personal pronouns because I'm going to use those terms and I want to make sure you kind of know what they are. Personal pronouns are used in place of nouns to refer to specific people or things. So Kate was so tired that she went to bed instead of saying Kate went to bed. Michael took the children with him. So they replace a noun. You can take the noun out of a sentence and use a pronoun in its place. Essentially, it's a noun. In English, you'll see that we have 2 different forms of the personal pronouns depending on whether it's the subject of the sentence or the clause or the object. So I versus me. Essentially what we're showing here is case. These are old vestiges of case, of an old accusative versus an old nominative. Possessive pronouns, on the other hand, actually are adjectives. And in Russian, it's very clear that they're adjectives because they behave very much like adjectives. In English, you can't really tell because adjectives and nouns, everything all looks the same. There aren't any specific endings. But they do provide further information, just in the same way that you can say an interesting book, you can say my book. It's just specifying which book or which kind of book. And these possessive pronouns don't make sense without a noun. If you just say my, the person you're talking to is going to be waiting for you to say some more. So this is why they're adjectives, because they can't stand by themselves. We will start with possessive pronouns because they're closest to adjectives, and you'll notice that the endings really are the same for I and you and we and you, formal or plural. The only difference here is that they use the soft variant, and that's just something primarily to memorize, although in the case of nash and vash, it actually is a spelling rule issue because the stress is not on the ending. Just a quick reminder also about the third person pronouns. That's his, her, its. Actually, I forgot to put they here. These never change in Russian. You know that they don't change with gender. You don't have a difference between his brother and his sister. It's going to be его брат, его сестра. And the same is true when you're dealing with cases. So if you want to say his brother has, remember that would be u plus a genitive case by his brother is. So у его брата есть, and there's no change. Now we'll move on to the personal pronouns, the I, you, he, she, and here are the forms. You will see that they look a lot like the accusative case. In fact, they really do overlap with the accusative case. Меня, тебя, его, ее, нас, вас, их. And then I have put in parentheses that N because if you're using the personal pronoun, not the possessive pronoun, not the one that's an adjective, if you're using the personal pronoun after a preposition to say, for instance, he has, she has, they have, then you always get this N in front of it. You don't use it in cases where you're just saying he's not here, which would take a genitive case. So I know that's a little bit tricky, and just pay attention to that. In the next several slides, we're just going to do some practice. You can stop here if you don't need the practice. I will show you a noun phrase, so an adjective and a noun, or a possessive pronoun and a noun, and have you write that in the genitive case. You can say it if you want, but I do feel that writing gives you a little bit of extra practice. If you're going to write it, pause the video for a second, write it out, and then check your answer. I won't narrate until we get to the very last slide, so just have a little practice. On this last one, I just wanted to point out that this this is not part of the genitive case. This is just something about the particular word mat, and also the word Deutsch, is that in every case other than the nominative and the accusative, which looks exactly like the nominative for these two words, you get this extra added in. And if you think about it, it actually makes them much closer to English. Mater is fairly close to mother, and Dochter is kind of close to daughter. And so maybe that will help you remember that for these two. The E is here because you have a soft ending. I hope you found that helpful.